Captain Sarah Chun stared at the tactical display aboard the UES Defiant, watching the alien ship drift helplessly through the void of space. The vessel was unlike anything in Earth's databases, sleek, crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, powered by technologies that their best scientists could barely comprehend. What troubled her most wasn't the ship's advanced design, but the desperate transmission they'd intercepted 12 hours ago. The message had come through in broken English, patched together from what appeared to be fragments of human broadcasts the aliens had monitored over decades. "Help, dying children, poison sky, please." The words had been accompanied by mathematical sequences and star charts that led them here, to this remote system on the edge of known space. Commander James Rodriguez approached from the communication station, his dark eyes reflecting the same concern that had been gnawing at Sarah since they'd received the transmission. "Captain, we're getting more coherent signals from their ship. Dr. Martinez has been working with their linguistics AI, and we're starting to understand more of their language." Sarah nodded, never taking her eyes off the alien vessel. The ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Defiant, but it showed signs of severe damage. Sections of its hull were dark, and debris floated around it like a metallic cloud. Whatever had happened to these beings, it had been catastrophic. "What's our status on the fleet?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer would frustrate her. "Admiral Harrison's battle group is still 6 days out," Rodriguez replied. "The Yorktown and her escorts are pushing their engines hard, but they're coming from the Centauri sector. We're on our own until they arrive." Dr. Elena Martinez hurried onto the bridge, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. The xenolinguist had been working around the clock since they'd first detected the alien transmission, and the exhaustion showed in her eyes. But there was something else there too, excitement mixed with deep concern. "Captain, you need to hear this," Elena said, activating her tablet speaker. The alien voice that emerged was hauntingly beautiful, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, but the urgency in the tone was unmistakable. "We are the Viridian." The translation appeared on Elena's screen as the alien spoke. "Our world dies. The Devourers came from the dark between stars. They poison our sky, kill our children, take our light. We know humans fight the darkness. Please, if you have mercy in your hearts, help us." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The Devourers, that name had appeared in intercepted transmissions from other alien species over the past year, always accompanied by fear and desperation. Earth's intelligence services have been trying to piece together information about this mysterious threat, but concrete details remained elusive. "How long do they have?" Sarah asked quietly. Elena consulted her tablet, where streams of translated text continued to flow. "From what I can understand, their homeworld is 3 days away at maximum warp. The poison, some kind of atmospheric contamination, is spreading rapidly. They estimate their remaining population has maybe a week before it becomes uninhabitable." Lieutenant Commander Alex Thompson looked up from his sensor station. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from their ship. Whatever powers that thing, it's way beyond our technology level. But the power systems are failing. At current degradation rates, they'll lose life support within 18 hours. Sarah walked to the main view screen, studying the alien vessel more closely. She could see smaller ships docked along its hull, what appeared to be escape pods or short-range transports. The Viridians had clearly evacuated as many of their people as possible, but their refuge was dying around them. "Sir," Communications Officer Lisa Parr called out, "we're receiving a visual transmission from the Viridian ship." "On screen," Sarah ordered. The view screen flickered and then displayed the interior of the alien vessel. The sight took Sarah's breath away. The being who appeared was humanoid, but distinctly alien, tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Its eyes were large and multifaceted, like a dragonfly's, and when it spoke, Sarah could see that its mouth was filled with what looked like tiny crystals instead of teeth. But what struck her most was the desperation in those alien eyes. Behind the being, she could see others, dozens of them, including what were clearly children, smaller versions of the adults with the same crystalline features. Many appeared weak, their luminescent skin dim and flickering. "I am Speaker Zaranin," the alien said through the translation system. "I lead what remains of our people. We know humans are warriors, strong in the face of darkness. Our dying ship brought us to you because we had nowhere else to turn. The Devourers have taken everything from us, our world, our hope, our future. But perhaps together we might find a way to fight back." Sarah stepped forward, knowing that her response would shape not just this moment, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. "I am Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earth ship Defiant. We received your distress call and came as quickly as we could. Tell me about these Devourers. What are we facing?" Zaranin's crystalline features seemed to shift, displaying what Sarah interpreted as gratitude mixed with sorrow. "They come from the void between galaxies, creatures of living darkness that consume light itself. They arrive at our world 6 months ago in ships that devour stars. Our weapons, which could shatter moons, barely scratched their hulls. They released something into our atmosphere, a poison that turns our life-giving light into death." The alien paused, and Sarah could see tears, if that's what they were, streaming down its luminescent face. "Our children were the first to fall, the young ones who burned brightest, that it just faded away. We try to fight, try to find a cure, but we are beings of light facing creatures that eat light itself." Lieutenant Commander Thompson looked up from his console, his face pale. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting massive gravitational distortions moving through this system. Whatever's causing them is big, multiple contacts, and they're heading this way." Sarah felt her blood turn to ice. "How long until they reach us?" "At their current speed, approximately 14 hours. The timing couldn't be worse." Admiral Harrison's fleet was still days away, and the Viridian ship was failing. They were alone in deep space with a dying alien vessel and an unknown enemy approaching fast. "Speaker Zaranin," Sarah said, turning back to the view screen. "We may not have much time. Can your people transfer to our ship? We could try to get you to safety." The alien shook its head sadly. "Our biology requires specific atmospheric conditions that your ship cannot provide. We cannot survive in your environment any more than you could survive in ours without protection. But there's another way." Zaranin gestured to something off-screen, and the view shifted to show what appeared to be a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures. Each structure pulsed with soft light, and Sarah realized she was looking at some kind of stasis system. "Our ship carries the genetic patterns and cultural memories of our entire species. Millions of souls preserved in crystal matrices. If we cannot save ourselves, perhaps we can save our legacy. But the matrix requires enormous power to maintain, more than our failing ship can provide much longer." Dr. Martinez stepped forward. "Captain, theoretically we might be able to link our power systems to theirs. It would be risky. We don't fully understand their technology, but it might be possible." Before Sarah could respond, the tactical alarm sounded throughout the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Thompson's face had gone ashen as he stared at his displays. "Captain, multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Massive energy signatures, unlike anything in our databases. I'm counting at least 20 vessels, each one the size of a dreadnought." The main view screen split, showing both the Viridian speaker and long-range sensor data. The approaching ships were unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Dark, organic-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with a fluid grace that was both beautiful and terrifying. "The Devourers," Zaranin whispered, and the translation carried all the terror in those words. "They have found us." Sarah looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew, good people who had signed up to explore the stars and protect Earth's interests, not to face cosmic horrors from beyond known space. But she also saw determination in their eyes, the same quality that had driven humanity to reach for the stars in the first place. "Red alert," she commanded. "All hands to battle stations. Rodriguez, give me a channel to Earth Command. emergency priority. Martinez, I want you working with their technical staff to see if we can stabilize their ship's power systems. Thompson, start running tactical analyses on those incoming vessels. I want to know everything we can learn about them before they get here. As her crew sprang into action, Sarah turned back to the view screen where Zarnine waited. Speaker, we're not going to abandon you. Human ships are coming, but they won't arrive in time. We'll hold the line until they get here, and we'll do everything we can to protect your people. The aliens' crystalline features shifted in what Sarah hoped was gratitude. Your species honors their reputation as warriors of light. But, Captain Shun, you must understand, the Devourers do not simply kill. They consume. Everything they touch becomes part of their hunger. If your fleet comes here, you risk not just your lives, but your souls. Let us worry about that, Sarah replied. Right now, I need you to tell me everything you know about these creatures. How they fight, what their weaknesses might be, anything that could help us survive the next few hours. As the Defiant's crew prepared for battle, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would be remembered as a turning point in human history. Humanity had always known that someday they might encounter hostile aliens, but they had imagined warfare between civilizations, not a battle against cosmic darkness itself. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of the Viridian refugees, but whether humanity was ready to take its place as defenders of light in a universe that contained things far darker than they had ever imagined. Through the view screen, Sarah watched the dark fleet approach, their vessels seeming to bend space around them as they moved. Whatever happened next, she knew there would be no going back. Humanity was about to face its first real test on the galactic stage, and the entire universe was watching to see if they would rise to the challenge or fall to the darkness between the stars. The Defiant's engines hummed with power as they prepared to face the unknown, carrying the hopes of two species into the void where light and darkness would clash for the first time in Earth's long journey to the stars. They sent a distress signal. Earth's battle fleet responded. The Devourer fleet moved through space like a cancer spreading through healthy tissue. Captain Sarah Chan watched their approach on the Defiant's main tactical display, noting how the very space around their ships seemed to darken, as if light itself was being pulled into their hulls and consumed. Analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant Commander Thompson reported from his station. 23 vessels total. The largest is approximately 8 kilometers long, with energy signatures that are, well, they're not reading like normal matter. It's as if they're made of concentrated negative energy. Dr. Martinez looked up from where she had been working with the Viridian technical staff. Captain, I've managed to establish a stable data link with their ship. What I'm learning is disturbing. The Viridians have encountered the Devourers 3 times over the past century. Each encounter ended with entire star systems going dark. Sarah turned to the communications station where Speaker Zarnine's image flickered on a secondary screen. The aliens' luminescent skin had grown noticeably dimmer since their first contact, and Sarah could see the strain of maintaining their ship's failing systems. Speaker, walk me through their attack patterns. How do they fight? Zarnine's crystalline features shifted as the translation system processed their response. The Devourers do not fight as you understand warfare, Captain Shun. They do not seek to destroy, they seek to consume. Their ships release what we call hunger waves, fields of energy that break down the bonds holding matter together at the quantum level. What they touch becomes fuel for their growth. That explains the energy readings, Thompson muttered. Captain, I'm detecting massive gravitational distortions around their fleet. Whatever these hunger waves are, they're affecting space-time itself. Commander Rodriguez approached Sarah's command chair, his expression grim. Captain, Earth Command responded to our emergency transmission. Admiral Harrison is pushing the fleet harder than recommended, but they're still 5 days out. Command is sending everything they can, 12 dreadnoughts, 30 cruisers, and support vessels. But, we need to survive the next 12 hours first, Sarah finished. She looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These were experienced spacers who had served through the Martian Rebellion and the Asteroid Wars, but nothing had prepared them for this. Captain, Dr. Martinez called out urgently. The Viridians are sharing their technical specifications with us. Their weapons technology is centuries ahead of ours, but even they couldn't damage the Devour ships. However, they've discovered something interesting. Sarah moved to Martinez's station, where streams of alien mathematical formulas scrolled across multiple screens. What am I looking at, Doctor? Energy patterns from their previous encounters. The Devourers seem to be vulnerable to specific frequencies of electromagnetic radiation, particularly in the gamma spectrum. But it has to be precisely calibrated. The Viridians didn't have the power generation capacity to exploit this weakness, but we might, Sarah said, understanding immediately. Our fusion reactors generate different harmonic frequencies than their light-based power systems. Exactly. If we can modify our weapons to emit the right frequency patterns, we might be able to disrupt their hunger waves. It won't destroy them, but it could hurt them enough to make them reconsider attacking. Lieutenant Park looked up from communications. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead Devourer vessel. It's in English. On screen, Sarah ordered. The view screen filled with darkness, so complete it seemed to absorb light from the bridge itself. Slowly, shapes began to emerge from that darkness. Not solid forms, but absences of light that somehow conveyed meaning. When the voice came, it was like listening to the death of stars themselves. Light bearers, the voice whispered, each word carrying the weight of cosmic emptiness. You protect that which is already consumed. The bright ones called to us across the void, and we answered. Their light will feed our hunger, as will yours. Sarah stepped forward, fighting every instinct that screamed at her to run. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earth ship Defiant. These beings are under our protection. Turn back, or face the consequences. The darkness on the screen seemed to ripple with what might have been amusement. Protection? Light cannot protect light from its destiny. You are young in the void, little flame. You do not understand that all illumination must eventually fade. We offer mercy. Surrender the bright ones to us, and we will allow your small spark to flee back to its distant hearth. That's not happening, Sarah replied firmly. The Viridians asked for our help, and humans don't abandon their allies. The darkness pulsed, and Sarah could feel cold tendrils of fear trying to wrap around her mind. Then you will learn what consumption means, Flamebearer. Your light will join ours in the feeding, and your people will remember why darkness is eternal. The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in a silence that felt heavy with approaching doom. But Sarah noticed something. Her crew hadn't broken. Despite facing something beyond their understanding, they remained at their stations, ready to follow her into the abyss if necessary. Well, she said finally, that could have gone better. Thompson, how long until they're in weapons range? 4 hours, 17 minutes at their current speed. Martinez, how long do you need to modify our weapon systems? The doctor consulted her tablet where streams of Viridian technical data continue to flow. If we focus all our efforts on the main plasma cannons, maybe 3 hours. But, Captain, I have to stress that this is all theoretical. We're essentially trying to create a weapon based on alien physics we don't fully understand. Do it, Sarah ordered. Rodriguez, coordinate with engineering. I want every available person working on those modifications. Park, send a message to Admiral Harrison. Full tactical data on everything we've learned. If we don't make it, at least the fleet will know what they're facing. As her crew scrambled to prepare for the impossible, Sarah turned back to the screen showing speakers earning. The alien leader looked even weaker than before, their luminescent skin now barely glowing. Speaker, is there anything else you can tell me about the Devourers? Any weakness we might exploit? Zaranine was quiet for a long moment, their crystalline features shifting in what Sarah had learned was deep thought. There's one thing, Captain Chun. In our first encounter, when they destroyed the colony world of Lysara, we noticed something strange. The Devourers avoided areas with high concentrations of what you might call emotional energy, places where beings had experienced strong positive emotions like love, hope, or determination. You think emotions can hurt them? Sarah asked, intrigued. Not hurt, perhaps, but discourage. as if they find such energy distasteful. We beings of light generate this energy naturally through our emotional connections, but your species... Zarnine paused, studying Sarah through the screen. Your species generates emotional energy in ways we never imagined possible. The intensity of human emotions, particularly in moments of crisis or courage, creates fields that even we find overwhelming. Dr. Martinez looked up excitedly. Captain, that aligns with some of the quantum field readings I'm getting from their ship. If emotional states can actually affect local space-time, which some of our more exotic physics theories suggest, then maybe what, Doctor? Maybe the real weapon isn't our modified plasma cannons. Maybe it's us, our crew, our determination to protect innocence, our refusal to give up even when facing impossible odds. If human emotional intensity can disrupt their hunger fields, Sarah felt a spark of hope. Then, we need to be more human than we've ever been. Everyone, listen up. She activated the ship's internal communications. This is the captain speaking to all hands. In approximately 4 hours, we're going to face an enemy unlike anything humanity has encountered before. They call themselves the Devourers, and they feed on light itself. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I won't lie to you, we're outgunned, outnumbered, and facing technology we barely understand. Our weapons might not work, our shields might not hold, and help is days away. But we're not fighting just for ourselves. We're fighting for the Viridian refugees who called to us across the void when they had nowhere else to turn. We're fighting because that's what humans do when faced with darkness. Throughout the ship, crew members stopped their preparations to listen, their faces reflecting a mixture of fear and determination. The Devourers think they understand us, Sarah continued. They think we're just another species that will flee when faced with true cosmic horror. They don't know that humans have been fighting monsters in the dark since we first learned to make fire. They don't know that we've faced extinction before and chosen to stand rather than kneel. They certainly don't know that we've never met a lost cause we wouldn't fight for. She could feel it now, that peculiar human quality that had driven her species to climb out of caves and reach for the stars. It was rising throughout the ship like a tide, carried in the hearts of engineers working frantically to modify alien weapon systems they'd never seen before, in the minds of tactical officers calculating firing solutions for enemies that defied physics, in the souls of every crew member who had chosen to stay at their post despite having every reason to run. So when they arrive, Sarah said, her voice carrying across every deck and compartment, we're going to show these cosmic bullies what it means to threaten Earth's allies. We're going to demonstrate that light doesn't just illuminate the darkness. Sometimes it burns it away completely. All hands prepare for battle. Let's remind the universe why humans are the species crazy enough to charge into the unknown with nothing but hope and determination. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Cheers erupted throughout the ship, not of bloodlust or false bravado, but of genuine human defiance in the face of the incomprehensible. Sarah could feel it in the air around her, that strange field that the Viridians had detected, growing stronger with every passing moment. On the screen, Speaker Zernine's dimming features suddenly brightened noticeably. Captain Shun, our sensors are detecting massive increases in what we call light energy throughout your vessel. Your crew, the emotional resonance they're generating, it's unlike anything we've recorded before. Dr. Martinez looked up from her instruments, her eyes wide with amazement. Captain, the quantum field readings are off the charts. Whatever's happening, it's affecting local space-time in ways that match the theoretical models for disrupting Devourer hunger fields. Then, we have our secret weapon, Sarah said, smiling grimly. The most human thing of all, the absolute refusal to let the monsters win. Thompson, update our battle plan. We're going to get close enough to those ships to show them exactly what human determination looks like. As the Devourer fleet continued its inexorable approach, the crew of the Defiant worked with a fevered intensity born of purpose. Engineers modified weapon systems with creative solutions that would have made their academy instructors proud. Tactical officers planned maneuvers that pushed their ship to its limits. Medical teams prepared for casualties, while simultaneously helping to maintain the Viridian life support systems. And, through it all, that peculiarly human energy continued to build. Hope in the face of despair, courage in the face of terror, and an absolute commitment to protecting those who had asked for help. The Devourers were about to learn something that had taken the galaxy millennia to understand. When humans said they would stand between the innocent and the dark, they meant it literally. Hashtag they sent a distress signal. Earth's battle fleet responded the first hunger wave hit the Defiant like a sledgehammer made of emptiness itself. Captain Sarah Chun gripped her command chair as the ship bucked and rolled, warning lights cascading across every console as the vessel's hull groaned under the assault of forces that shouldn't exist. Hull integrity holding at 87%, Lieutenant Commander Thompson called out over the screaming alarms. But, Captain, our outer hull plating is literally dissolving at the molecular level. Whatever that wave was, it's breaking down the atomic bonds in our armor. Evasive maneuvers, Sarah commanded. Don't let them hit us with a full wave. How are our modified weapons? Dr. Martinez looked up from her engineering console, sweat beading on her forehead as she monitored the hastily modified plasma cannon systems. Weapons are charging, but the frequency modulation is unstable. We're essentially firing blind and hoping the Viridian calculations are correct. Through the main view screen, Sarah watched the Devourer fleet spread out in a formation that reminded her of Spider's web. The largest vessel hung back while smaller ships moved to surround them, each one trailing darkness like a living shadow. When they fired their hunger waves, space itself seemed to scream. Speakers Ernine, how is your ship holding up? Sarah called to the communications screen where the alien leader's image flickered weakly. Our hull is more resistant to their consumption fields than yours, the Viridian replied, but we are losing power rapidly. The crystal matrix containing our people's memories is failing. Perhaps another few hours before everything is lost forever. That was when Sarah noticed something strange. Despite the dire circumstances, the emotional energy field that Dr. Martinez had detected was still growing stronger. She could feel it in the air around her, a sense of purpose and determination that seemed to radiate from every member of her crew. Even facing cosmic horror, they hadn't broken. Captain, Communications Officer Park called out urgently. Long-range sensors are detecting something massive dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. It's bigger than anything in our databases. Sarah felt her heart sink. If the Devourers had reinforcements arriving, their situation had just gone from desperate to impossible. But then, Thompson looked up from his tactical display with confusion written across his face. Captain, that's not a Devourer ship. The energy signature is completely different. It's broadcasting Earth identification codes. Before Sarah could respond, the communications array came alive with a transmission that made her nearly fall out of her chair. Defiant. This is Admiral Harrison aboard the UES Yorktown. Sorry we're late to the party, but we brought friends. The main view screen split to show Admiral Harrison's weathered face alongside tactical displays that made Sarah's breath catch. Behind the massive dreadnought Yorktown, space was filling with ships, dozens of them, then hundreds. Earth's entire battle fleet was emerging from hyperspace in the most impressive display of military might humanity had ever assembled. Admiral, Sarah managed, how did you get here so fast? Harrison's grim expression cracked into something resembling a smile. When we receive your transmission about cosmic horrors that eat light itself, I made an executive decision. Every ship that could make the jump, military, civilian, even some of those crazy asteroid miners with their modified haulers. Turns out the galaxy's been waiting for someone to stand up to these things. As more ships continued to arrive, Sarah realized this wasn't just Earth's fleet. She could see vessels she didn't recognize, sleek ships with crystalline hulls that could only be Viridian, massive angular craft that looked like they'd been carved from asteroids, and others whose designs defied easy categorization. Admiral, are those alien vessels? Captain, meet the Galactic Alliance, or at least what's left of it. Turns out the Devourers have been feeding on civilizations for millennia, and every species that survived has been waiting for someone crazy enough to fight back. When word spread that humans had engaged them in battle, volunteers started showing up faster than we could organize them. Speakers Urine's image brightened noticeably as their ship's sensors registered the incoming fleet. Captain Chun, those are ships from the Crystalline Assembly, the Forge Builders, and the Void Runners. Species the Devourers thought they had eliminated. Your stand has awakened hope across the galaxy. But the Devourers weren't retreating. Instead, their fleet was changing formation, the dark ships moving with liquid grace to meet this new threat. More massive vessels were emerging from hyperspace behind them, each one radiating hunger like a malevolent star. All ships, this is Admiral Harrison, came the fleet-wide communication. We're facing an enemy that threatens not just individual species, but light itself. Every civilization in this fleet has lost worlds to these creatures. Today, we make our stand. Today, we show them that some lights refuse to be extinguished. The space around the Viridian refugee ship became a maelstrom of activity as hundreds of Allied vessels took position. Sarah watched in amazement as the hastily formed fleet coordinated with a precision that shouldn't have been possible. Ships from dozens of different species, using incompatible technologies and operating procedures, somehow working together as if they'd been training for this moment their entire existence. Captain, Dr. Martinez called out excitedly. The quantum field readings are incredible. The emotional energy we detected earlier, it's not just coming from our crew anymore. Every ship in this fleet is generating the same resonance pattern. Hope, determination, defiance, whatever it is, it's creating a field effect that's disrupting the Devourer's hunger waves. Sarah could see it now on the tactical displays. Where the Allied fleet had gathered, the darkness that surrounded the Devourer's ships was being pushed back, as if light itself had decided to fight. The effect was subtle but unmistakable. Wherever the Allied vessels moved, space seemed brighter. All ships, concentrate fire on the largest Devourer vessel, Admiral Harrison commanded. Use the frequency modulations the Viridians provided. Let's see if we can hurt these things. The combined firepower of the Allied fleet lit up space like a miniature star. Plasma cannons, particle beams, exotic energy weapons that Sarah couldn't even identify, all focused on the massive Devourer ship. For a moment, the darkness around the enemy vessel flickered, and Sarah thought she saw something that might have been damage. But the Devourers responded with fury. Hunger waves erupted from their entire fleet, waves of consuming darkness that reached out to devour everything in their path. Several of the smaller Allied ships simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but consumed, their very atoms adding to the Devourer's strength. Yorktown is taking heavy damage, Thompson reported. Hull breach on decks 7 through 12. The Admiral's ship is holding position, but barely. That was when Sarah made a decision that would echo through history. All crew, this is the captain. We're going to do something that's probably insane, but it's the most human thing I can think of. We're going to ram the largest Devourer ship. The bridge fell silent except for the sound of alarms and the crackling energy of nearby weapons fire. Finally, Commander Rodriguez spoke up. Captain, even at full ramming speed, our mass isn't enough to cause significant damage to a ship that size. I'm not trying to damage it, Commander. I'm trying to get close enough to show them what human determination looks like at point-blank range. Sarah turned to Dr. Martinez. Doctor, what would happen if we overloaded our fusion reactors while in direct contact with their hull? Martinez's eyes widened as she understood. The explosion wouldn't just be physical. The reactor breach would release all the emotional energy we've been building up in one massive burst. If our theories are correct about their vulnerability to positive emotions, it would be like detonating a hope bomb right in their faces, Sarah finished. Rodriguez, plot a ramming course. Full emergency power to engines. All hands prepare for impact. As the Defiant accelerated toward the massive Devourer ship, Sarah opened a channel to the entire Allied fleet. This is Captain Sarah Chan to all vessels. Whatever happens next, remember why we're here. Not just to fight monsters, but to prove that light will always find a way to push back the darkness. The Viridians called for help, and the galaxy answered. That's the real victory today. Not winning a battle, but showing that we'll stand together against the night. The Devourer's ship grew larger on the view screen, its hull a writhing mass of living darkness that seemed to reach out with hungry tendrils. But as the Defiant approached, Sarah could see something she hadn't noticed before. Points of light within that darkness, like stars being born in the void. The emotional energy of the Allied fleet was already beginning to affect the creature. Ramming course locked in, Rodriguez reported. Impact in 30 seconds. Captain, Speaker Zernin's voice came through the communications system, clearer than it had been since they'd first met. What you're doing, this sacrifice, it is giving my people strength. Our children who were dying, they're beginning to shine again. Your hope is becoming our hope. Sarah looked around her bridge one last time at the faces of her crew. These good people who had followed her into the impossible and never wavered. It's been an honor serving with all of you. 20 seconds to impact. Rodriguez, when we hit, overload everything, reactors, weapons, life support. Let's make this count. But something unexpected happened as they closed the final distance. The darkness around the Devourer's ship began to retreat, pulling back as if afraid of contact. The hunger that had consumed worlds for millennia was backing away from a single human ship, driven by nothing more than the refusal to let evil triumph. Captain, Thompson called out in amazement. They're pulling back. All Devourer's ships are retreating. It's like they can't stand to be near us. Through the view screen, Sarah could see the impossible. The massive Devourer fleet, which moments before had been advancing to consume everything in its path, was fleeing toward the edge of the system. Their dark ships moved with desperate speed, as if escaping from something that caused them genuine fear. All ships pursue and engage. Admiral Harrison's voice crackled over the communications. Don't let them regroup. But Sarah had a different idea. Admiral, recommend we let them go. But let's make sure they take a message with them. All ships form up around the Viridian refugee vessel. Let's show them what protection looks like. As the Allied fleet arranged itself in a massive defensive formation around the damaged alien ship, something remarkable happened. The combined emotional energy of hundreds of species, all united in the common cause of protecting the innocent, created a field of such intensity that it lit up local space like a beacon visible across star systems. The Devourers stopped their retreat at the edge of the system, their ships hanging in space like shadows against the stars. Then, one by one, they began jumping to hyperspace, fleeing to whatever dark corners of the universe they had come from. But before the last ship departed, a transmission reached the Allied fleet, the voice of darkness itself, but now carrying something that sounded almost like respect. Light bearers, the voice whispered across the void. You have shown us something we had not encountered in eons of feeding. We will remember this. The hunger is eternal, but today you have reminded us that some flames burn too bright to be consumed. As the last Devourer's ship vanished into hyperspace, the Allied fleet erupted in cheers that echoed across every frequency. Ships from dozens of different species celebrated together, their crews united by the shared victory against cosmic horror. But for Sarah, the real victory was simpler and more profound. Looking at the Viridian refugee ship, now glowing brightly as its people recovered from their ordeal, she realized that humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most human way possible, by standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves, and proving that sometimes the right kind of crazy was exactly what the universe needed.